In this video, I'm going to name every NFL team's best player right now. This is not most important player, or else every choice would be a quarterback. I'm also not using any rookies who haven't played it down yet. Let's begin. Arizona Cardinals, DeAndre Hopkins. Famous hotel room respecter DeAndre Hopkins, seriously, Google it, had a down year in 2021 due to suspension and injuries, but when healthy, he is still a dominant top 5 caliber wide receiver, and I expect him to return to that form in 2022. Atlanta Falcons, A.J. Terrell. The Falcons are a pretty bad team, but somebody has to be the best, so I went with A.J. Terrell. Terrell is emerging as a top 10 cornerback, which is a nice turn of events after his terrible rookie season. Opposing quarterbacks had just a 61.0 rating when targeting him last season. Baltimore Ravens, Mark Andrews. Lamar Jackson is the biggest star on the Ravens, but he's not the best player. That honor belongs to his tight end, Mark Andrews, who had an All-Pro 2021 season, catching over 100 passes and 1,300 yards with 9 touchdowns. Andrews is only 27 and looks primed to be a top tight end in the league for the foreseeable future. Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen. Pretty easy choice here. Allen has solidified himself as an elite quarterback after 2 straight monster seasons. His ascension to stardom is why teams will continue to take chances on supremely physically gifted quarterbacks who have serious flaws coming out of college. If he can stay healthy, he should be a Hall of Famer someday. Carolina Panthers, DJ Moore. DJ Moore is what people have been pretending Allen Robinson was for all these years. He's had 3 straight seasons with over 1,100 yards despite Make-A-Wish kids throwing him the ball. Unfortunately, that doesn't look like it's going to change this year with Darnold and Baker Mayfield in the fold, but he is legit. If he ever gets a good quarterback, watch out. Chicago Bears, ROQUAN Smith. Smith has always been an athletic freak, and he has been second-team All-Pro in each of the last 2 years. What is surprising is how he still never made a Pro Bowl for some reason. He's a very talented all-around linebacker who isn't great in pass coverage, but it's not a weakness either. Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow. I find Burrow to be just a touch overrated after a Super Bowl run where he really didn't play that great in any game. However, he is still a top 6 or 7 quarterback in the league right now, entering just his 3rd year. And with an improved offensive line, he should only get better and cut down on his interceptions and sacks taken. No offense to Michael Sam. Cleveland Browns, Myles Garrett. Famous respecter of opponent safety, Myles Garrett has become the player everybody hoped he would when he was drafted 1st overall in 2017. He had a career-high 16 sacks last season and was first-team All-Pro for the 2nd straight year. He is a dominant player who needs to be accounted for in every play. Dallas Cowboys, Micah Parsons. This was truly a toss-up between the consistently excellent All-Pro guard Zach Martin and the All-Pro phenom/weirdo Micah Parsons. Martin will be a Hall of Famer someday, but right now I decided to go with Parsons since it's much more rare to see a defensive rookie come into the NFL and immediately dominate. Parsons is going to be a terror to try and block for many years to come, and also in the locker room. I can't wait to watch them both lose before the conference championship game again this year. Denver Broncos, Russell Wilson. Wilson's a future Hall of Fame quarterback with several elite years left. He gives the Broncos a legit threat at quarterback for the first time since 2014. However, for all of his incredible highlight reel plays and incomparable deep ball accuracy, Wilson is prone to holding the ball too long and taking sacks. Will he finally embrace the short passing game? I have my doubts. Detroit Lions, Frank Ragnow. I don't pretend to pay close attention to offensive linemen, especially centers, but all the grades show Ragnow has been an elite center for several years, even though he was injured last year. And while it might not sound like much, that's enough to be the best player on this shitty team. Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers has won back-to-back MVPs and 4 MVPs overall, is a future first-ballot Hall of Famer and arguably a top 5 quarterback of all time. His playoff career leaves something to be desired, but there is no questioning his talent and his ability to carry teams during the regular season. He will certainly be tested again this year after the departure of Davante Adams. Houston Texans, Laremy Tunsil. Tunsil somehow survived having a marijuana gas mask shoved onto his face, which nearly suffocated him to death with poisonous marijuana fumes. He only lasted through sheer resilience. He has needed that same resilience to survive the terrible Texans organization, where he remains a Pro Bowl left tackle when healthy, which he wasn't last season. Indianapolis Colts, Quentin Nelson. Total coin flip here. Nelson is coming off of his worst season as a pro, where he quote-unquote only made 2nd team All-Pro thanks to missing 4 games. Simply put, when Nelson is healthy, he is up there with Zach Martin as the best guard in the NFL. He has all the qualities you look for in an offensive lineman: great strength, surprising speed, and most importantly, a real mean streak. Jacksonville Jaguars, Brandon Scherff. The Jags are rebuilding and banking on tons of young, highly drafted players to reach their potential, so they don't have many established players on the roster right now. Scherff is one of the few that has proven himself as a 5-time Pro Bowler Bowler and one-time first-team All-Pro. However, SCHERFF is injury-prone and hasn't played a full season since 2016. Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes had a down year in 2021, but he still put up great numbers. He's the most talented quarterback in the league right now and would be the first choice to start a team with if there was an open draft league-wide. Despite losing TYREEK Hill, I expect him to once again be as great as he still has Andy Reid in his ear and his good buddy Travis Kelce to throw to. Las Vegas Raiders, Davante Adams. Adams is a top 2 receiver in the league, along with respectable daughter dater Cooper Kupp. He's legitimately uncoverable with his moves and footwork. However, despite his obvious greatness and familiarity with college teammate Derek Carr, going from Rodgers to Carr is still a massive downgrade. Will Adams put up the same numbers as before? Maybe. Will he win as much? I doubt it. Los Angeles Chargers, Justin Herbert. Herbert has had a historic start to his career, which began because the team doctor nearly killed Tyrod Taylor, but the wins have yet to come as he still hasn't made the playoffs 2 years in. While I have no doubt he will eventually get there, the pressure is slowly mounting. He can make every throw imaginable and is also a freak athlete. If he stays healthy, there's no reason why we won't be talking about him as a future Hall of Famer in 10 years' time. Los Angeles Rams, Aaron Donald. Donald gets the nod here, shocker, as he is widely considered the best player in the league regardless of position, and rightfully so, as he is making a real argument to be the best defensive player of all time now that he has a dominant Super Bowl performance on his resume. I know all the old heads who grew up watching Lawrence Taylor and Reggie White will be triggered by that, but it's true. Miami Dolphins, Tyreek Hill. The Dolphins obviously traded for Hill because of his incredible ability to make women feel safe at all times. Oh, and he's also the best deep threat at the receiver position the league has seen since Randy Moss. Despite Hill's greatness, his strength as a receiver doesn't match his quarterback's laughably weak arm. It will be interesting to see how he produces. Minnesota Vikings, Justin Jefferson. Jefferson has had one of the best first 2 seasons any receiver has ever had. He is a legitimate stud, no offense to lesbian couples. There really isn't any aspect he isn't good at, and the Vikings are lucky they stumbled into him after trading away Stephon Diggs. However, through no fault of his own, the wins haven't been there. I look forward to seeing how he plays in games of consequence. New England Patriots, Matt Judon. Patriots don't have any real star players, but Judon comes the closest. He made the Pro Bowl in each of his last 2 seasons in Baltimore before having a career year last year in New England, where he finished with a career-high 12.5 sacks. However, if this team is to take the next step from playoff team to legitimate title contender, we all know Michael McCorkle-Jones needs to be the best player. New Orleans Saints, Cameron Jordan. The Saints have a ton of really good players on defense, but I went with all-reliable Cameron Jordan. He had a bit of a slow start last year, but he still ended the season with 12.5 sacks in his last 11 games and 8.5 sacks in his last 4 games, showing he still has enough juice, no offense to Barry Bonds, to be an elite player. He's made the Pro Bowl 5 straight years, and I don't see why he won't do it again if he stays healthy. New York Giants, Leonard Williams. Leonard Williams is a good, solid pro, but the fact that he's the Giants' best player speaks to how bad this team is. He had 81 tackles and 6.5 sacks in 2021, a year after recording 11.5 sacks. He can play, but the Giants obviously need their newest draft picks to hit, or else the team will continue to be a laughingstock. Let's pray that happens. New York Jets, Quinnen Williams. Much like the other New York, New Jersey team, Quinnen Williams is a good player, but he shouldn't be the best player on your team. If he is, you probably suck, which the Jets do. 53 tackles and 6 sacks from an interior lineman isn't bad by any means, but the Jets roster is filled with young, unproven high draft pick and MILF hunters. Philadelphia Eagles, Jason Kelce. I was tempted to go with A.J. Brown, but Jason Kelce has been a consistently excellent player for this team for years now. He was once again named first-team All-Pro in 2021 and hasn't missed a game in 7 years. He doesn't play the sexiest position, but nobody can deny his raw, primal sexiness, which makes women weak in the knees when they get within even 100 yards of him. Pittsburgh Steelers, T.J. Watt. Watt is the reigning defensive player of the year and the second best defender in the league behind only Aaron Donald. Had he not missed essentially several games last year, he would have destroyed the single-season sack record. He has had 3 straight first-team All-Pro nods and is right in the peak of his prime. Expect another monster season from JJ's little brother. San Francisco 49ers, Trent Williams. Williams just completed one of the most dominant seasons by an offensive lineman in history. Stats say he allowed just 23 pressures in 18 games, didn't allow a sack, and was also the best run blocker in the league, who, in 408 run blocking snaps, allowed his man to make just 1 tackle. He has long been a Pro Bowl caliber player, but he finally put together all of his freakish physical gifts last year. Seattle Seahawks, DK Metcalf. It's the moment of truth for Metcalf. Now all the people who said he was merely a product of Russell Wilson will get their chance to know if they're right. Metcalf's physical gifts have always been obvious, and I don't expect him to suddenly suck, but a dip in numbers should be expected with Drew Lock throwing to him. Regardless, considering how bad Seattle's roster is, Metcalf is the best they have right now. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tom Brady. I'm not going to praise Thomas this any more than I have to for fear that I might vomit, but yes, he is the best player the Bucs have, even at his big age. We just can't beat this guy. Tampa is once again loaded at receiver, so there's no reason to think Brady won't have another monster season, unfortunately. Fuck him and his sleazeball personal trainer Alex Guerrero. Tennessee Titans, Derrick Henry. A pretty easy choice here. Even though Henry missed half the season last year, when healthy, he is the most dominant running back in the league, although for the first time in a while, he has some legitimate competition in Jonathan Taylor. In an era that goes out of its way to degrade and downplay the importance of running backs, Henry is quietly putting together a Hall of Fame career. With a few more monster seasons, he might just get there. Washington Commanders, Terry McLaurin. Scary Terry is the best player the Commanders have. He has incredible hands and body control, and he has needed to use all of his talent to get 1,000-yard seasons despite having dog shit throwing him the ball his entire career. Carson Wentz will be the best quarterback McLaurin has ever had, which is saying a lot. If he stays healthy, I expect him to put up career numbers.